Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am drinking McDonald's coffee on this Friday. My wife must have been in a decent mood with me because she normally doesn't get me coffee, or she was trying to be nice, or maybe she's just glad it's Friday. I don't know, but she doesn't normally get me coffee when she is the one that goes to McDonald's on a Friday morning, which my 9-year-old demands and will have it no other way. But she got me coffee this morning. Okay, I want to keep reiterating this because it's very important to everything that we've been talking about and doing. I repeat, I want the entire crypto industry to do well. That includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and any other technology that can compete and win on a level playing field. That's all we ever wanted, but weren't given. For all these years, we've had to watch all these people prance out on CNBC and talk about nothing but Bitcoin and Ethereum, when Bitcoin and Ethereum would not be the two in the lead on CoinMarketCap if there had been a level playing field and all of these digital assets had been given clarity. They would not be leading the way. And that's the problem, folks. That's why we're here. That's why we're fighting the good fight here. So, but I don't want anything bad for Ethereum or Bitcoin, but I want them to have to compete. We live in the United States of America. This is a capitalist country, I thought. That's all we ever wanted. That's why we're pissed off out here, because we see clearly what has happened now. And now I'm going to show you more of what has happened. Remember, you can't watch this video enough. This is Lowell Ness, of the partner at Perkins Coie, and he's describing how the Bill Hinman speech happened. And this was not told to us for the last 3+ years.
Campus made his way over to see Andreessen the next morning, and this is the part that now...
Jay Clayton made his way over to Andreessen the next morning.
Not a lot of people know.
And this is January 2018.
And he invited Chris Dixon to round up the sort of the industry players who were really...
Okay, so now we know Jay Clayton wanted Chris Dixon to round up all these industry players, and that is what became the Venture Capital Working Group. Okay, this is Chris Dixon. Why leading venture capitalists is betting on a decentralized internet. This is from September of 2018. Now, I want to reiterate here. Chris Dixon did not do anything. None of these people did anything wrong by going and meeting with Jay Clayton. None of these people did anything wrong by going and trying to help regulators figure out how to get their arms around this industry. If anything, and I'm not even saying there was anything done wrong, I'm just saying if anything is nefarious in all of this is because I've read the memo that these guys ended up creating and handing off on March 26, 2018 to Bill Hinman. I've read the memo. There's only one digital asset mentioned in that memo, and that's Ethereum. Okay? Now, that makes a lot of smoke go up in the air to me. Okay? That's where the problem begins to come in, if there's a problem here. Okay? So I just decided to go look at this Breaker Magazine article with Chris Dixon, who he mentions. It says, so you lost, but in losing won. And then he says that became a rallying point for the technology community, Ethereum, and all things that it inspired. Then there's this. Ethereum was a big turning point for you. Question. It's a very interesting platform. It's a full programming language. It looks very much like JavaScript. You can write 10 lines of code and you're already up and going. Blockchain networks like Ethereum have a radical new business model. It is not to take some piece of action or sell ads to generate revenue. It's to issue coins or tokens and have the network hopefully grow in popularity. If the tokens are well designed, they will grow in value along with the network. And then there's this. You invested in, they're asking Chris Dixon this question. You invested in Ripple 5 years ago. Why launch a crypto fund at Andreessen Horowitz now? Right, that was the very first investment, and then Coinbase in November 2013, and then a few others along the way. But then it really ramped up post Ethereum. A whole bunch of new people got inspired. They saw it as something to get behind, and it wasn't this cyberpunk libertarian thing. This is a technology platform. Fundamentally, what we're in the business of doing is following technical people. So we just saw this massive influx of talent. And so to our fund, we said, we want to be aligned with this new business model. And the right way to be aligned is to buy the tokens, not to try to buy equity or to invest in some toll-seeking gateway. Okay? So that is Chris Dixon. And again, I'm not saying that Chris Dixon did anything wrong. To me, this thing starts to really stink when Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman get involved. And it starts to really stink when you start to see some of the other players making comments in public and those kind of things. This guy, I mean, look, he obviously probably wanted to help Ethereum, but I'm not saying that there's anything nefarious in what he was doing here. Okay. Now, you got this. This makes more sense against the backdrop now that we know from Lowell Ness that Jay Clayton went straight to Andreessen Horowitz. And do not forget, whatever you do not forget. For over 3 years now, we've been told by the SEC that this was Bill Hinman's opinion, and it was not the official position of the SEC. And yet, now we find out 3 years later that Jay Clayton went to Andreessen Horowitz and asked them to create a memo that eventually inspired the Bill Hinman speech. The SEC chairman did that. I'm now beating my pen on my desk because this is BS. Okay? All right, so now that we know from Lowell Ness of Perkins Coie that Jay Clayton went to Andreessen Horowitz and asked for the creation of the memo that eventually inspired the Hinman speech, this conference makes more sense. This is the missing recording that Ripple asked about in court. It's the 2018 Tech GC National Summit, October 25th. I've asked the people from Tech GC on Twitter where this recording is, and I've heard nothing from them, and I don't know if Ripple's gotten the recording. But here's the lunch reception, and it now makes more sense that William Hinman would be on stage with the partner and general counsel for A16Z Crypto, which is the new name of Andreessen Horowitz. Okay. So now Charles Gasparino tweeted this out. Here's what I will promise the XRP community. Eleanor Terrett and I need to follow her if I'm not. Let me see if I am. Yes, I am following her. And I will thoroughly vet any conflict of interest involving current and past SEC officials and crypto regulations. We will be fair and balanced and diligent in our reporting. So go give her a follow because I have this feeling that Charles Gasparino went to this young girl and said, you know what? I'm on to the story of a lifetime, and you're a young person coming along, and I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to let you help me out with this because that's the way the world works, folks. And this girl is really smart for getting involved. And Charles Gasparino is obviously smart and knows what he's doing, and he's got guts. Now, so this was me yesterday saying I heard that Charles Gasparino was going to be on Fox today, and he retweeted my tweet. He says, stay tuned, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. You won't be disappointed. Now, we're going to get to more Charles Gasparino because he's been tweeting this morning, and you're not going to believe what you see. But first, I wanted to remind you of this tweet. Remember this tweet? When the SEC sources told Fox Business, the logic of the agency's case versus Ripple is that the company's infrastructure is still being built out. So XRP, the token which was used to finance the thing, is considered a security. Ethereum infrastructure is totally built out and has been for years. Thus, it's clearly a commodity. Well, this is a video from December 7th, 2020. This is Andrew Keys, one of the co-founders of Consensus, and he tells you right here that they are creating this, quote, creating this infrastructure. If your infrastructure is built out, you are not creating the infrastructure. Okay? You're just not. So listen to this. It's his own words.
Important to note, we'll basically be using Ethereum 1 until Ethereum 1 merges into Ethereum 2. So while we're basically creating this infrastructure, there's not a material difference if anyone was to use a decentralized financial application, for example.
So you're creating this infrastructure, and yet the SEC sues Ripple and leaves Ethereum alone. These guys are literally in the process of putting out Ethereum 2.0 a security. And that's the fact, Jack, and everybody that's listening to my voice knows it. And that's why we're fighting this fight, because we know that this is a big heaping load of manure. Okay, speaking of manure, let me see, did I pull that twice? I think I did. Speaking of a heaping load of manure, yesterday, Jay Clayton went on to CNBC, and Andrew Ross Sorkin threw some layup questions to him, as he does. And then Jay Clayton intentionally made the point that he joined this Apollo Global and all, or he didn't mention the names, but he's talking about the companies that he's advising that he said basically he didn't even know about these companies while he was in office. So Brad Combs went and put this out. Watch this. I'm not going to wait. Hold on. Let me do a refresh here. Come on.
The case you mentioned. I'm not going to comment specifically on the case you mentioned, but in terms of my after government service in the space, what I can say is that the companies that I advise, I don't want to.
Those companies, one of them's Apollo Global, and then one of them is One River. I think it's like a subsidiary or something like that.
Be promoting them, but one is an institutional asset manager, another is a what I would call an infrastructure back. I did not know these companies while I was in the government. I was introduced to them after I exited, did my due diligence as to whether I would be an advisor and chose to do so.
February 18, 2021, Apollo appoints Jay Clayton as lead independent director. Again, reported by New York Times, Jay Clayton, former SEC chairman, will join Apollo's board. But it would appear here that Jay Clayton actually was familiar with Apollo, because it shows here January 14, 2020, on the SEC Asset Management Advisory Committee. Chairman Clayton at the time was on that commission and on that committee, and they met with Apollo Global Management.
Folks, are you seeing what I'm seeing? All right. Then there's this. Brian Armstrong and Coinbase were sued by the SEC recently because of their lend program. And so I was just looking around this morning, and I asked the question, because I don't know. I'm just asking a question. Hey, Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, is this in any way similar to what the SEC is suing you for? And this was an article from CoinDesk back November 11th, 2020. Ethereum heavyweights launch liquid stake loans to ease Ethereum 2.0 lockup. Liquid stake will allow Ethereum 2.0 stakers to take out USD loans against their staked assets while earning staking rewards from the new network. Ethereum establishment, but liquid stake is confident play, heavily backed by what could be called Ethereum establishment. The project involves the likes of Consensus, Bison Trails, Figment, OpenLaw, and Filecoin. I remember OpenLaw because they were involved in the Brooklyn project, for those of you that have been listening. And then there's this. This is from the website of Liquid Stake. Think before you stake. Ethereum 2.0 is here. When you stake, your ETH will be locked until the Ethereum 2 rollout is complete. Stake directly with Liquid Stake to stay liquid while you stake by borrowing USDC against staked Ethereum, right? So I went back and found Jay Clayton, or not Jay Clayton, but Gary Gensler, when he was being interviewed by CNBC about his lawsuit against, or his threat of a lawsuit against Coinbase. And I want you to listen to what he says. And then the second part, you're going to hear what Andrew Keys, who used to be with Consensus, says. And you just tell me. This is Gary Gensler.
Now, as it relates to lending products for a long time have been part of the securities law. In fact, the first word in those 30 or 35 things Congress listed in 1930 was note. A note, comma, stock, comma, bond, and it goes on and on. In 1990, the Supreme Court addressed themselves to what is a note that comes under the securities law. So I think that the law is clear.
You have got a huge amount of Ether basically being collateralized with you. What's going on?
Yeah, so basically we are the only person or the only lender in the space that's willing to underwrite this risk. I have been part of the Ethereum community from inception, and I believe in the technical roadmap, and I will basically create the technology to hold the validator keys and the withdrawal keys. And basically, we are the only ones in the space that are willing to underwrite basically this illiquid asset, which is staked Ether.
Okay, so it's important. Let's go over those quotes again. Gary Gensler, as it relates to lending products for a long time have been a part of the securities law. And that's Gary Gensler right out of his mouth. And then this is Andrew Keys. We are the only person or the only lender in the space that's willing to underwrite this risk. So he says we are the only lender, and lending products have been a part of the securities law. Riddle me that, folks. And then my hero, Charles Gasparino, gives me a little hope for the future of this country and the future of my children, which is what this is really about for me. Tweets this out today. I've requested comment from Bill Hinman on his 2018 crypto speech, and he has declined. I wonder why. We have placed calls into Ethereum and requested info from Jay Clayton through Apollo Global Press Office. Haven't heard back. Stay tuned for our mystery guest at 3:30 Eastern Time, Fox Business, Liz Clayman. We will be watching that. Trust me on that. Then John Deaton tweeted his tweet out and says there's no reason for Clayton not to speak to Gasparino. Clayton went on with Andrew Ross Sorkin, of course, despite a mountain of evidence pointing to an appearance of impropriety. Sorkin didn't ask one follow-up question and simply allowed Clayton to give a general denial. And that's true. Nobody's accusing anybody of anything. We're just saying that there seems to be a lot of smoke here, a lot of smoke here. There's buzzards flying here. That's all we're saying. And why is nobody asking any questions about this? Why is CNBC giving all these softball nothing questions? They're not asking anything. Remember, it's Charles Gasparino yesterday that said CNBC protects the what did he call them? Protects the I'll think of the word in a second. I'm drawing a blank here. Okay. And then Charles Gasparino says this: the main problem, in my humble opinion, with the SEC approach to regulating crypto through uneven enforcement actions is that it will create so much distrust among the investing public when the price bubble pops, and it will, causing significant investor losses. Ding, ding, ding. And then he said this. The blockchain backer had said one of the big speculations out there is that financial media accepts money from funds and corporations to cover specific stories to influence retail investor behavior. Could this be why they don't want to cross the SEC with this story? They don't want the spotlight on them. And Charles Gasparino, who's been in this game for a while, he says the uneven media coverage has less to do with money, actually almost nothing, and everything to do with access. In other words, if you try to ask me any tough questions about this, and we're not going to speak to you anymore at all. Well, that's just not journalism, folks. That's not what these people are for. They may as well just shut down CNBC now. If that's how they conduct business, if that's what they're here for, their job is to inform the public in an honest way and to hold power accountable, hold businesses accountable. That's their job. It's not to toe the freaking line so you can get your next interview. He goes on. I think that type of journalism is horrible. In fact, actually, it's just not journalism at all, is what it is. By the way, I have never done my job that way, and I've done just fine in this biz. Good for my hero, Charles Gasparino. And finally, folks, this quote has a whole new meaning for me now. This is from the movie The Big Short. We are fighting the good fight, #0doubt. And this is a quote that this guy said in the Big Short. He says, while the world was having a big old party, a few outsiders and weirdos saw what no one else could. And that's what we were forced into seeing this, folks. We were forced into seeing this because we've been following Ripple and XRP and what they've been doing for years now. And when that SEC lawsuit was dropped, something just had a terribly bad smell. When we watched the industry beg and beg for regulatory clarity while we watched Jay Clayton and now Gary Gensler go to the microphone and say, oh, we think it's very clear, when you know that you can just smell the bad smell off of it, and it doesn't sync up with what all these smart and common sense people out here are thinking and seeing, and they're coming out and say, oh, no, it's very clear. And then they've got people like Hester Pierce inside the organization saying, no, it's not very clear. That's why we've all been led here. We don't want to be doing this. We want I want all these things to do well. Like I said at the beginning of this video, we want Ethereum to do well. I don't want to be doing these videos on this stuff. I want my children to live in a free country. I want my children to live in a capitalist country where governments and cronies don't pick winners and losers, because that way I can tell my sons, get yourself educated, go to college. Go out there in the world, work your butt off, and you can achieve something. If it's done the way this has been done, then I have to tell my sons, listen, this game is rigged. You can go out there, you need to go get educated, and then you have to go associate yourselves with these certain groups and get yourself in this club, and then you can do well. That's not what America is about. It never was, and it's not, and I don't want that to be what America is about for my kids. This is disgusting, and somebody needs to do something about it. And good for Charles Gasparino for fighting the good fight. You're the man, and we will be behind you every single step of the way, and screw all the people that are behind this, whoever you are. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and good